Good afternoon. Welcome to the, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to the support staff of the minister. Once again, welcome, Mr. Lewis. Just some clarification, because just now you said that the cuts affect the truancy department, which actually has 4 FTEs, but currently only have 2 truancy employees, and this would remain so. My question pertains to that as well, and maybe it's also a suggestion. One of the ways, coming from the truancy, I know one of the tasks of a truancy officer is to tackle the issues of students being truant, dropping out, dropouts, being absent from school, and so on. And one of the responsibilities or so-called authorities that a truancy officer should have is the ability to give fine. Now, you answered my question when you wear the hat of the Justice Minister pertaining to the BOA. So that's one of the training that they're missing. That's why they cannot execute their task. But in the meantime, as the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport, let me say the whole thing, my question to you is, I know they don't have the authority right now to write fines. So is it, and considering we're talking about cutting budget, this is a form of income. So is it the plan of you, or perhaps whoever to follow you, but you can't answer whoever to follow you, but is it your plan to perhaps do whatever has to be done with regard to giving those truancy officers the ability to write fines? Is that one of your plans for the rest of the year? And in addition to that, there's also a situation with them when it comes to, for example, people traveling with their students unlawfully. So is there an interministerial agreement between, for example, the Justice Ministry and Education, so that some form of, that when parents break the law, that some form of fine or sanction should be given to them? So that's my question. And pertaining to the, you stated also that it doesn't affect the breakfast program, so that's a good thing. My question is also, what happens to the rest? Because right now I understand that public school receive funding. Is it the intention, or is it possible that the other schools, subsidized schools, can also receive maybe similar programs? I sent in something pertaining to that. If you can give me an update to the breakfast, not breakfast, but the meal program for those students when it comes to the LBHAM that I sent in. That's it for now, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, MP Brug. I now give the floor to MP York.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Once again, thank you. Good afternoon, Minister, and good afternoon to the support staff. In regards to the questions I already posed, there was one question that wasn't, I think, fully understood pertaining to the Martin Luther King School. My question was, well, thank you for the elucidation that it's expected to be finished in November, if I understood correctly. My question was more aimed towards what are the plans between November and the new school year for the school, or for the building. Moving on from there, in the budget, I have some additional questions. There 1 cent per liter provision. I see that it has been cut, like several other things, but as it pertains to the legislation for it, I know the legislation reached as far as the money being able to be allocated to the ministry, but if I understood correctly, the entity in which is allowed to use it was never really addressed. So what is the state of affairs with that? And contrary to most posts, the majority of them, if not all, the cuts are based on expenditures, whereas the 1 cent per liter is basically an income, but yet it was cut. So was it cut because it went to another post? What was it cut for? Next would be some additional questions pertaining to the VWO and the technical vocational education. What are the long-term visions of the Ministry of Education to ensure continued access to VWO and technical vocational education, considering the concerns from the school boards that the lump sum compensation system, which is based on the number of students, insufficiently covers the cost of these special forms of education with extraordinary high cost. Furthermore, what was the lump sum compensation system evaluated by a consultant recently? If yes, what were the findings and the recommendations of the consultant? Were these recommendations implemented? If no, why not? If yes, please indicate how. There is an increase in the subsidy for subsidized school boards, whilst according to the data, there has been a decrease in the number of students in the primary and secondary schools since 2017. Can the minister provide the reasons for the increase and moreover the legal justification for the increase in the absence of an increase in the number of students based on the lump sum compensation system? One of the main complaints from the businesses is that the education system is not properly aligned with the labor market needs on St. Maarten. What are the initiatives and educational innovations is the ministry pursuing to better resolve these issues? What are the plans seeing all the cuts in the budget for special needs or special education? I haven't seen much from that reflected in the budget. In accordance with the legislation, the Minister of Education is required to present the State of Education report to Parliament. Can the Minister please provide an update on the State of Education report, and when will it be presented in Parliament? Those would be my additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you, MP York. I now see MP Brug requesting the floor. MP Brug.
Yes, thank you very much. I just would like to add some more as well. I was responsible for a project a couple of months ago. And one of that project was actually for the opening of school. I asked several of the schools to send in an essay asking why they should be the individual teachers to receive school supplies. And in these essays, it was very disturbing. It was very disturbing to me to realize what some of these teachers was actually asking for. They were asking for things such as toilet paper, such basic necessities. And that is disturbing. So for me, I'm not a proponent of cutting anything out of education. But I want to know, for example, what currently, because I haven't seen it in the budget, does the Ministry of Education have any outstanding when it comes to our vendors? How much these outstandings are? And is it the intention that we can also, when is the intention to start to pay these vendors so that the supplies can reach those that need them the most? That's our students. In addition to that, 1 second. Yes. In addition to that, a lot of our schools are facing, a lot of our schools, especially in the classrooms, are meeting challenges with regard to children with behavioral issues, with regard to children with even mental issues. I know in the past there was supposed to be an institution by the former Bell School, supposed to be organized. I understand that after the hurricane, that was destroyed. The plan is now currently at NRPB with regard to the rebuilding of that institution. But in the meantime, the situation is getting worse in the classrooms. My question to you, Minister, is what is being done in the meantime until that building is completed and that it can be occupied? What is being done in the meantime to help the teachers in the schools with regard to dealing with these children with behavioral issues and also the mental issues as well? That would be it for me, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you. MP Brug. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I forgot one question. As it pertains to the state of affairs or the status of the insurance policies for the various school buildings, both subsidized and public schools. So what is the status of the insurance policies for the buildings? Thank you.
Thank you, MP York. Minister, I don't see any other MP with questions for you at this time, so allow me just to, again, briefly add some without repeating what my colleagues have already asked. The same question that I asked you, Minister, in your capacity as Minister of Justice regarding the vaping amongst the youth, I want to repeat it here as part of the Ministry of ECYS. It is that ministry that informed me in the past that a interministerial group of civil servants was to be put together, and that, so thereto I ask, was that done? Was it established? With which ministries and with what specific objectives? Minister, I don't expect you to have this answer at the tip of your fingers, but I think it would be important for us to get an overall picture of the counseling and crisis intervention initiatives in our educational system, especially but not solely our high schools, because according to me, it does not start at high school level, but I would like to know if you, from a general perspective, can get the state of that type of service, student service to our students. Again, counseling and intervention, crisis intervention. How much of it do we have? I know at different schools we have different support systems, but if we take it as St. Maarten educational system, how do we fare in that respect? Minister, some time ago, before you took this particular office, we saw where the special ed policy, so special education policy, was finalized. As you know, Minister, special education too is one of the areas in education that need our attention. And thus my question is, with that policy in place, what steps have been taken or will be taken, and according to what timeline will these different steps be taken? Minister, the capital budget for education for 2024 has been reduced with approximately 12 million guilders. Is that reduction the project that was presented by the government at the time for the Charlotte Brookson Academy, is my question. And since that was taken out of the budget for 2024, and in the budget, it is anticipated in 2025, a capital project for a high school, is that the same thing? The amount in 2025 is less than 12 million, but is it the same thing, or is this high school projected in 2025 a public high school on St. Maarten? And in that context, I want to refer to information that we received, answers that we received as Parliament from the question regarding what is taking place on the Ring Road. What are the plans from the government building right down to the traffic light, so to speak? What are government's plans? And where your ministry is concerned, I took note that the plans, because part of that property, the one across from the sport complex, is of the Chamber of Commerce. And I understood